guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Olá Bom Dia, ALEGRIA. Munson here with a Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream and podcast. Sit up, Carl, for goodness sake. Well, I'm a little bit tired this morning. I'm about to try something, actually try two Portuguese things this morning. Sorry, before I go any further, how are you today? Tudo bem? Como estás? Do let me know in the chat if you will. Good morning to you, Jackie. Good morning to you, T-Duck. And the old guy in Europe is fantastico, obrigado, as well. Coach is in. Who else is lurking? Disclose, reveal, please. If you've not said hello for a little while, or if you've never said hello, why not make today the day? Right, now, where was I? Up at 6, basically, this morning, watching Mission Impossible 2. It's a long story, but it's a lot to do with having a teenage son. And it's actually quite stressful. I had my first breakfast this morning, not long after 6, and I'm ready now to try something Portuguese. But I think before we go there, and I love some lovely treats this morning. That's a bit misleading. Those bolos de billing are long gone that came from Atelier de Dos last Friday. Oh, good morning to you, John, who's joining us at 9:30 as well to talk about his beautiful Z4. And perhaps he may be telling us about the special year that's coming up in Ponte De Lima next year, 900 years of the existence officially of Ponte De Lima. But we never know where John's going to take us. Always interesting facts and a little bit of an update from the north of Portugal from John at 9:30. The only clue I've got as to the whereabouts of the man in the Minho who would normally be with us this morning is this picture. This is a traditional Christmas decoration, actually, which reminds me of the Advent calendar, and you'll see why in just a moment. But that's a traditional Barcelonian Christmas decoration for some reason. Out with the old, possibly. If you can't see that very well on your screen, that's probably not such a bad thing. How are you doing, Antonio? Also here this morning. Good to see you, Antonio. Thank you for being here. Clearly, the old guy in Europe, very pleased to see you there. Okay, so let's do the Advent calendar thing, shall we, first of all? And maybe we'll do the God Squad tip of the day as well ahead of John joining us at 9:30. But let us know how you're doing in the chat, if you will. I want to tell you about Portugal, not Portugal Decoded, Portuguese news in English for estrangeiros, the other one over on Substack by George Branco, which I think has been going a little bit longer than the Portugal Decoded Substack, which just celebrated its year's birthday. But we're talking about cars, we're talking about cake, and we are talking about curiosity generally here in Portugal. This is a curious thing. Do you remember the TVDE, the taxi service, the minicab service that was for women only? That's had the pushback from the licensing authority. So we might have a look at that news item and see what you think about that in a while as well. But lots to squeeze in this morning on this Tuesday morning, the 3rd of December 2024 here, where it is, let me tell you, it is 20 degrees in the studio and a mere 15.8 centigrade outside the studio. So we might have a look at the weather as well a little bit later on. So lots to do. Yeah, first of all, though, that Advent calendar. So Windows 1 and 2 obviously open. Thank you, T-Duck and Gav Williamson. That went down like a lead balloon yesterday, didn't it? Mrs. M laughed at it when I told her about it in the car. The good thing about insomnia is there's only 3 sleeps till Christmas. I'm sorry if you're suffering with that dreadful affliction. Why not check out some of the old back issues on the podcast of Good Morning Portugal? They'll get you to sleep and get you some rest. So morning 3 then here on the Advent calendar that gives you no chocolate. I was going to say, well, kind of this morning to continue that Barcelonian theme. But let's update it, shall we? And open the window. Oh, you'll see there on the website that the key themes for next year are learning more about the Portuguese language. Well, not learning about it, but actually speaking the language. So should we raise our game next year? So language and culture. got to be first and foremost, doesn't it, on the Good Morning Portugal show. And health and well-being, number 2. And number 3, laughing more. Do we think we can do that? I reckon we can. So let me just update then and publish the new window. It's exciting stuff, isn't it? And then I'll come back to the website that you can see on the screen at the moment. You can look for yourself at all the W's, of course, goodmorningportugal.com. And if I do an update on that, I think this should work now. If I refresh and update the page, yes, there you go. Another classic from T-Duck there. That's how chocolate cookies are made at Christmas. And that stops the kids eating too many of them as well. So thank you very much for that, T-Duck. Window 3. Now, we need a little jingle bells jingle in the background, don't we, for that? And in case you can't see it, there's the close-up of it. Oh, the elf on the shelf is busy with a bit of a bowel elf there by the look of it. Okay. If that hasn't put you off your breakfast, I don't know what will. Talking of breakfast, then, let me just run this. And I'm going to have a little nibble myself now. My second breakfast of the day. A good nearly 3 hours later after my first one this morning. So trying something Portuguese this morning, a couple of things actually. A homemade delight and something that was sourced for me. Do you remember last week when I showed you my choo-choos? And very nice they were too last night. What I did with those, because what happens with choo-choos, I think, is they get left in the larder until you really need to eat them. Or, sometimes they've gone off and you think, oh, that's a shame. I'll have to chuck them out anyway now. Because they're interesting. And that, I mean, when you say interesting about food, it's not the most, it's like damned by faint praise, basically, isn't it? And Ian and Helena, who gave me those shoes, very grateful. The kids really love the big bag of clementines. We love the sweet potato and the shoes, as it turns out in the end. And I mashed them together last night. So I skinned the shoes. If you want to try this at home, take the fairly robust skin off the outside. So slice that off. And I don't know if I'm doing this right. This is just what I intuitively did, and it seemed to work out okay. But take the hard, gnarly skin off the outside of the chouchou, which grows here in Portugal, and then take out any there was like a core in a couple of them yesterday that I had to slice out as well. So I got rid of that and then sliced them up basically like potatoes. And that's the thing. Then they really aren't as nice as potatoes, or they're very different to potatoes, and they're not as easy, or I'm not in the habit of cooking them as I am potatoes. Potatoes win hands down for me and in this household. But we had the shoes, and it's rude to waste food, isn't it? So yeah, skin off, take anything that looks like a core out from inside, and then cut them into how you would normally cook potatoes. So boiled them in some salted water, boiling boiled in saline. Same thing with the sweet potato that we were given as well. Great big thing, quite hard to peel, as are the shoes. Again, that's why I think we prefer potatoes. That's why we've got into the potato habit culturally, certainly here in Portugal and back home in Blighty. And boiled them up in separate pans because I thought they might take different times to cook. And then when they were both soft and ready to eat, I put butter in, I put olive oil in, a little bit more salt, and mashed them together to make quite a nice mash, which Mrs. M quite liked. And I've got a little bit left over, so I might have a bit of bubble and squeak this morning with that. So the shoes got eaten. And basically, I think what Ian thought was, well, if he'll eat that, he'll eat anything. And they were in, I'm just opening up my Atelier de Dos box here, which you must go to. If you've never been there, please make your way to Atelier de Dos, the best bolo de Belém and generally cake shop, I think, in all of the country. When Philomena was with me on Sunday, and I really wished I'd grabbed some extra thing. I didn't know she was coming on Sunday a couple of days ago. I would have got her a big box of Bolos de Belém and other treats that they do up there. There she is. It was lovely to see you, Philomena. And that honey is going down. Your own honey. Isn't it lovely when people give you their own honey that they've made in the garden? So thank you very much. Really enjoying that smoky, really intense honey from you, Philomena. And the gift giving doesn't end there. I have got some broinhas from Philomena. Russell, which she brought to me. And this is made of potato, going back to potatoes. This is a broinha, like a broa, a mini broa. made with potato as its principal ingredient. But I'll come back to that because I'm saving the best till last. Ian and Helena were laughing a little bit when they gave me this one. They was like, well, he ate the shoes. Let's see if he'll try this on his Try Something Portuguese slot there. Can you see that there? It's a fancy cake shop, I think. A pasteleria. Where's this then? I think this is in oh yes, Avenida da República. I think it's in proper Lisbon, I think. So it's from the capital. Maybe, I'm not sure. Other Avenida da Repúblicas are available, obviously, but it's Pasteleria Ribeiro. And if you ever look inside, I think they saw these and thought, oh, they look nice. Look like kind of earrings to me. If I give you a little look inside the box there, they could be dried sea creatures, couldn't they, as well? And here they are. And they thought, well, actually, I think how the story went is they bought them, took a nibble, and thought, well, we'll have to give those to Munson, which tells you probably all you need to know about these. So texture, quite tough, as you can see there. And I believe they thought they were dried. What did they think they were? Dried figs when they bought them. They pointed to them thinking they were buying dried figs, which are very nice, aren't they? But these, I believe, are little pears. They might be the pears that get left to the very end that don't get picked. They finally get picked from the tree and then dried. So I'm going to have a little nibble now of this to go with what's left of my coffee, and then have a little bit of Filomena's Broinha in just a moment. And I'll come to your comments, which are piling up in the chat. But I just need to try this. So there you go. It's a pretty little thing, isn't it? Like I say, like earrings, perhaps. So little nibble. Not soft, okay, but peary. I don't want to be taking too much of a nibble. Don't actually, after all the times I was told off as a child to not talk with my mouth full. Yeah, you got to eat with your mouth full, haven't you? But, well, what can I say about dried pear? Except it tastes like dried pear. Now, it's okay. It's a nice bit of dried fruit. If you like pears and you like dried fruit, you're going to like these. There is a little bit of a surprise, though, because they've been dried whole. You do get a free visit to the dentist sometimes, basically. The hard seeds and core is dried inside there. So if you bite down on it too vigorously or with too much aplomb, you're going to possibly do yourself some dental damage. So there you go. I do like it. And, they're sweet. As often, I don't know, maybe the drying process tends to intensify the sugars, doesn't it? So they're nice. The sort of thing that you could probably put in your pocket to nibble on, and they're not going to disappear very quickly. They're not like, gimme. They're pleasant. It might be nice to reconstitute them in some way, maybe in baking or in other recipes as an ingredient. But very nice. Never tried it in my life. The dried pear, or the dried mini pear, everybody, available here in Portugal. Thanks to Ian and Helena, my neighbors here in San Martino de Porto up the road, who thought of me and brought them from Pasteleria Ribeiro as well. There you go. And from the print is so small on there. Antonio, it says Pared. That's an actual place, isn't it? So Avenida da República, Pared, P-A-R-E-D-E. So there you go. Thank you very much for that. I'm gonna have what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish my mouthful and play you the rest of the video that you've seen in the opening sequence that Pam sent me, and that'll give me a chance to clear my palate for the next tasting bit. So here you go. Let's go to Alcobaça and see the whole video that was sent to us by Pam. Thank you very much for this, Pam. Not quite long enough for me, given the current mission that I'm processing here. But what occurs to me about that parade in Alcobaça, it was in the daytime. Now, wouldn't you think? I mean, not being critical, but I would have thought a Christmas parade might be better when dark has fallen, when you can see the lights that they've gone to great length to put up in the streets. and in the square there. And maybe the children's carrying lanterns. But there you go. That was a mid-afternoon procession there in Alcobaça. More to try. Broinhas made with batata this morning. Good morning to you, Randy, who's in. Thanks, Randy, for your events. Did you go to any of them? The events that you sent us on Friday, shared those. Olá Bom Dia, Malta. Just popped in to say hello before I head out. Jabalish. Paul Richards is here this morning. How you doing, Paul? 20 degrees. There you go. Back to the normal 20 degrees. That's why you live in the Algarve, isn't it? For winter temperatures of 20 and blue skies. Yes, thanks, Pete. We finished with Fado yesterday. Thanks for showing my Fado night car. It's a real honor to be on the Festa organizing committee and set up as well as enjoy local events. Now, talking of our mission to do more Portuguese language and culture. Oh, that's just out of shot there. That's a great way, isn't it, Pete, of learning more language, getting involved with the local culture and really embedding yourself in your local community. The Festa organizing committee. Pete, how would people go about doing that? I made those cookies myself. Ew. We also went to the amazing soup festival. Another one. Do you have one every month, Pete? Chestnut soup and cheddar pig always punctuates early December. It's the seasonal soup festival. Mike and Karen, good morning to you. How's Miranda de Corvo? And I did see your message yesterday. You saw... Now I know what those music clips are. Okay, a couple more music clips while I continue to process dried pear now that's hiding in various corners of my mouth there. Okay, so actually, Philomena did mention this band. They were celebrating their 15th anniversary, I think, of being a band here in Portugal, and they've been on the telly. They're pretty famous. And I know part of the name is Gatos. So it's something to do with cats. It's a bizarre name, as I recall, from Philomena telling me before. She mentioned them again on Sunday, and she was there at the concert, and she was saying loads of expats come up to her and say, "Hey, you're Philomena, aren't you?" So there she was at this gig. So were you, Mike, and you captured a little bit of this for us. What's the name of the band? Oh, there you are, and a little bit more. I think they're local heroes and definitely crowd pleasers there. And before I go into, we're staying in Miranda de Corvo, and before I try one of Philomena's homemade broinhas here, made with potato. I don't think I've ever had a sweet a confection of this kind made with potato. I don't think I've ever done that. I don't think such a thing exists in the UK. Let me know if you have. Let's just say a few more hellos before I do that, however, and fill me gob up again whilst trying to do a live stream. Okay, chestnut soup or anjerapiga. I guess that's good, especially at night. A little sort of cultural point of order there. Going to go and dig up breakfast in a bit. That sounds ominous. Peter, what are you having? Potatoes, maybe. Solo Live Portugal, or are you juicing your produce, so to speak? Well done for getting so involved in your local Portuguese community. Well, right back at you, Bairandi, of course. And you are, Bairandi, you are an inspiration. We'll try and get a load of you along to our February disco. I can put up 12. How about that? Party at Pete's. Sweet potatoes, says Bairandi. Always look out for the straighter ones, easier to peel. Well, let's leave that to the EU. They were trying to straighten out the bananas, weren't they, in the UK? And that's why we left. Maybe they'll be able to do a better job inside the European continent here by straightening out the sweet potatoes. I'm afraid it's just spuds and what is left of my truffle patch after the night's Javali activity. Oh, have you got any late night infrared photography, videography of the Javali? That'd be great to see, Pete. Hi, Antonio. All Christmassy down here in the Algarve. Every roundabout trimmed up. Looks really nice. Oh, well, where are pictures, Paul? Where's the video? Mind you, we have 10,000 roundabouts on the N125, so they have been busy. Yes, Pedder's here. Olá Bom Dia from Pedder as well. Good morning to you. Good to see you here, Pedder. And seeing as we live in the arse of Judas, as I think that is correctly translated, that's the back of beyond, to put it another way, a more polite way. My new favorite phrase after o primo mais próximo is sempre o mais atraente. Okay, there you go. Ahead of 2025, learning more about the language. Translate that. Slip that into Google, if you will. Good morning from Hugh as well. Good morning to you, Hugh. Thank you for your kind words yesterday with the midday pause. That's a good idea, says Antonio after Paul Richards. That way it's easy for drivers to notice it's roundabout and not drive straight through. See you later, Andy. And enthusiastic review of the pair. They're all right if you've got nothing else to eat and you're starving. I didn't quite say that. Just in case Ian and Helena are watching, thank you very much. I really enjoyed that experience. That interesting experience. Keep them coming. They're probably laughing at home having got rid of those dried up old pear. Who doesn't like a dried up old pear first thing in the morning? Heaven, OMG, there is a problem between robots. Heaven is back using this. I think this is like how spies use the Times classified section to send messages to each other. There is a problem. This is a problem between robots, says Heaven, HVN. If a tomato, ask a potato. What kind of plantations are you? Better shut up, okay. Well, don't mind us, Heaven. Carry on. Bon dia from Pam. Dried figs are a lot nicer. Use the pears with buckets of cinnamon. Nice serving suggestion there, Pete. You have to be selected or nominated, in my case, by the lovely mayor. The best way is just to offer help. So there you go. That's how to get involved with your local committee there. Have you tried the savoury bolo de Belém from what? What's in that? Is that like a bolo mista with ham and cheese inside it? Actually, I think you've got to hold back a little bit on the crunchy sugar. And my theory about bolo de Belém and the use of them or the consumption of them on beaches is you can't tell if you're crunching down on sugar or sand with a bolo de Belém eaten traditionally at the beach here in Portugal. But I haven't tried that. Do they hold back on the sugar a bit and then make it the bread of a mista, a sandwich mista? I quite like a Cornish pasty with another Cornish pasty for dessert with brown sauce. Do you know what? I was at the Welsh bar, Coach Turner. You'd have been proud of me at the rugby with Chinese Terry, watching the rugby Saturday afternoon. I had a lovely sausage roll made by Tudor, handmade by Tudor in the Welsh bar. Lovely. And I said, can I have a bit of brown sauce, please, Karen, Mrs. Tudor? I haven't got any brown sauce. What? I said, I'll bring you some. Okay. Gemini Bradshaw will say, good morning, everyone. Even, exact, none is really. I didn't realize it was haiku morning this morning. Heaven, what's going on in your world? Bon dia tourist from João van Groningen. How are you, João van Groningen? Good to see you. That looks potato. Yes, it is. I'm going to Pete, no, Peter, I can't read that one out. No. All right, mate. Oh, okay. All right, fine. Probably least said, soonest mended, which is advice that was given to me years ago that I should perhaps adhere to more often. Right, trying the broinhas com batata aqui, made by the fair hand of Filomena. Look at this for texture there, folks. If I just break that open, I think that's a bit of dried fruit there. Oh, I think I might have the lucky prune in there. Or is that a really big, you know how sometimes currants and raisins bloat up in the cooking process? That might be some of that going on. Let me just give that a nibble. Dried fruit. That's nice. Definitely improvement on the dried pears. Lovely texture. And I was given this, Filomena, if you're watching, you're probably thinking, Carlitos, you should have eaten those on Sunday night, not kept them until Tuesday morning. But anyway, I'm going in. There you go. Baking with love. Excuse me. I'm going to play you something else while I enjoy that and then come back to you in just a moment. Oh, yeah, here you go. Here's John. Beginning to look a lot like Christmas in the Z4, which we'll talk about in a little while.
There's a tree in the ground it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the birds will start, and the thunder will make ring. Is the carol that you sing right within your heart?
That's lovely. We'll see John in a moment there. And the name of the band that we were playing are Us Sai de Gatos. Now, how does that translate? More homework for you going into the chat right now. We'll be doing more of this next year. Us Sai de Gatos. There you go. Something to do with cats for sure, but I'm not entirely sure. Is that you over there in Devon, Heaven? Maybe. And I'm trying to crack the code here to find out who Heaven is. Speaks in a way that's familiar to me, like an old friend from Devon there. And that's not a euphemism, literally an old friend from Devon. Before we chat with John, I do want to check in with you about this, what sounded to me like quite a good service, a women-only taxi service. But that's been outlawed or unlicensed because it's discriminatory. We come out of cats. Okay. The roads. I mean, I don't doubt you for a moment, T Duck, but funny old name for a band, isn't it? Maybe it has a Portuguese significance that Antonio might tell us about in just a moment. The roads are so wonderful. A heavy traffic day we see there, João Ernesto. Isn't that lovely? I'm driving along there in the BMW Z4. So very briefly, before John joins us in a few moments, there is this story from the I just keep wanting to call it. It's Portuguese News in English for Estrangeiros. This was the original, wasn't it? That Jorge Branco. We've had the authors of both Substacks on the show here. Jorge Branco being the first, and his reporting here about the regulator suspending women-only rideshare platform. A new female-only rideshare platform is facing some difficulties before it's even begun operating. Publico reports. The Institute for Mobility and Transport, better known to us as IMT, the IMT, has suspended Pinker, a company that says it will have only women as drivers and clients, while it investigates whether the gender restriction is legal. Well, a gender restriction it is. I am not offended by it. If the law is trying to protect me from Pinker, it needn't bother, quite frankly. I've got no problem with a women-only taxi service, women being the drivers and the passengers. A spokesman told the newspaper it was seeking explanations from the company because there can't be discrimination under the TVDE license, which also applies to companies such as Uber and Bolt. The applicable law forbids discrimination on the basis of age, sex, race, sexual orientation, civil state, socio-economic situation. Well, that's probably a more important matter, isn't it? If you're too broke, if you're brassic and can't afford a taxi, you are being discriminated against, aren't you? That's probably a more important issue socially, and a host of other characteristics that Jorge Branco can't be bothered to go into right now. Pinker's Monica Faneco said the company had given the IMT a clear and detailed response explaining the company's business model, which she said was developed in an attempt to create differentiation in the market. Certainly does that. The main goal was to offer a safe and comfortable environment for users and drivers, respecting the principles of equal access, she said. I really don't have a problem with that. Why not? And by the way, Philomena, your broinhas here are delightful, superb. What I would do with that, not as an improvement, but as a way of gilding this beautiful lily here, is to put some butter on it. I think that's maybe a bit of a British habit, but that would be delicious. Then they don't need to be toasted. They're lovely and moist and delicious, very enjoyable. And I wouldn't know it was made of potato if I had to do a blind test on that, but I'd be slathering some butter on that as well. Right, we come out of cats. There you go. We get on all fours. Is that the sort of Portuguese? Yes, cat poo could have been the name of the band. We come out of cats. That would be another translation, wouldn't it? I think Antonio hopefully will help us out with this. Carl, Antonio is saying the applicable law they refer regarding Pinker is the Portuguese constitution. Oh my goodness. Okay, fair enough. Yes, I suppose if you're challenging the constitution, that's one matter, isn't it? And it doesn't, I guess, you're trying to find the intersection, as people say these days, between whether the constitution is helpful and should be protected. Otherwise, why have a constitution? And then a socially useful innovation like Pinker itself. I don't know. What do you think about that? I think us, as in us sai de gatos, is a typo. Os sai de gatos translates to the skirts of chicks. Well, thank you for that. That hasn't made things any clearer whatsoever. Weird. Deeple says that os sai de gatos means the leaves on all fours. Please, Antonio, help us out. We're really floundering now. They say potato 2 is bad, potato 1 is good. That is why potato 1 must be replaced by potato 2. Heaven. What have you had for breakfast this morning? Right, let's give him a nice big round of applause and bring him onto the screen. It's João de Norte, everybody. Hi, João.
Hello. Hi.
Olá, bom dia. Tudo bem?
Bom dia.
How are you, João?
Olá.
All right, I'm going to think I have to turn you up a little bit here. Oh, and I've got my favourite echo. We get sometimes with you.
Oh, no.
Two of me. Two of me. Why not take two of me? Okay. Have you got a window? And enjoying the show twice. Echo.
What did we do last time?
I can't remember. I think you may have changed device. Or certainly the first suspect in this is closing any extraneous windows, which I'll give you a moment. Rather than put you on the spot on air, I'll pop you behind the scenes for just a moment, and we'll come back to you in a little while. Heaven's still continuing to talk about potatoes there. And let's do the God Squad tip of the day then, while waiting for John to have a little look behind the scenes there and see what's going on with his technology. At 8 o'clock this morning, we had James with some Portuguese vocabulary, of course. Bom dia, Gambas. Feliz dia a todos. Como va? Todos. And bom dia, James, says Coach Turner, and me. And it's and to everyone, it's happy Tuesday. Coffee this morning, he says, training this afternoon, and pulled pork with fragrant rice, sweet corn and peas this evening. That sounds nice. That's making my mouth water already. It's a long time until this evening, Coach Turner. Sounds like a good day to me. It does. God Squad tip of the day then. Are you using actual pork, or are you going for the jackfruit version of that, Coach Turner? My comments yesterday were slightly tongue-in-cheek. What's this about not getting lonely or using alcohol as a way of lubricating the social wheels? They were slightly tongue-in-cheek, says Coach Turner. See, trying something Portuguese, dried pears and bolinhas was a high-risk strategy for which I'm now feeling the repercussions. Interesting response from Tig. She mentioned her old neighbour who she encouraged to get out and about with her. That was lovely, wasn't it? Chatting with Tig yesterday. This was clearly important to him as he was slowly becoming reclusive. And that sadly only has one ending. So brilliant for him, but also positive for Tig. Helping others is fantastic for your own mental health. In many ways, it's why I coach and why Mrs. T volunteers in our local library. Wow, you still got a library there. So maybe you have someone you can help, or there's something you could volunteer for. Well, the Scouts were out and about at the weekend. They were doing their food bank where they give you the brown paper bag. If anyone is still in doubt about what you do with the brown paper bag, it's not a complimentary bag from the Scouts to help you with your shopping. You're meant to fill it up with food and give it back to them when you come back out, which is something I think Frank didn't do. He just said thanks for the bag, filled it up and took it with him. You might be surprised at what you can get out of helping other people, said the coach this morning, just after 8 o'clock. Thanks, Coach. Keep them coming. Much appreciated. And yeah, I hope you can give us another year's service, because we are focusing on health and well-being next year, and you are a vital part of that strategy. Let's see. Let's give John another round of applause. And see how he's doing now. Hey, John, from a different angle.
Hello.
Oh,
yeah, I was wondering if we could try one thing, otherwise we'll come back to this, and that is to use this for the audio and the other for the visual.
Give it a go. Yeah, you'll need to mute the microphone. Oh, here we go. Let's see.
Yeah, so I muted.
Yes, two Johns. So
yeah, two Johns.
There you go. So we could then turn that camera off there.
This is
we're getting a virtual loop. This is very interesting, Joe. I'm going to put you either side of me and have a John sandwich here.
No, that doesn't work. Hey,
it's like being in a radiophonic workshop.
All right, I'll close this one, and I'll stay on this other one.
Okay. All right. That's a great angle, John. I'm liking that.
Unfortunately, what's frustrating is the other is what I've been using for months. So I don't know what all of a sudden changed.
Yeah, right. We never know, do we, with technology? But don't worry, John. AI is going to sort it all out within a few years.
Yeah.
Do you think it will? This is what we need help with, isn't it? We live in the age of the promise of AI, and people still can't unmute themselves on a Zoom call. There's something not quite adding up in that picture, is there?
Speaking of AI, all this in recent times made me
think maybe I should rewatch Battlestar Galactica.
Why not?
The 2009 version, the 5-part season one.
Right.
And yeah, that has a lot to say about AI, doesn't it?
Probably, and also maybe helping us with what people say will be the next big thing, which is extraterrestrials showing their faces within the next few months. Remember where you heard it first.
Yeah, everything repeats itself.
Especially with your technology.
Yeah. It's just from
Right.
an alternate dimension, just slightly offset.
Yeah, yes, it was your brother in a parallel universe that joined us briefly there. That's very impressive, John.
Exactly.
Very impressive.
Amazing what you can do.
It is. Just with a couple of devices at home, it's incredible. You don't need to go to CERN, do you? And have a hadron collider. John can do this in his back bedroom. Right, John, how are you? What's been going on for you?
Very good. Yeah, well, this last month, there's been a number of things going on. Enjoying the car a lot and going for road trips. That's one of our favorite pastimes to do, especially when it's a beautiful day. Finished up our A1 classes.
Did you?
Just started our A2s yesterday.
Right.
And, that'll be on Monday and Wednesdays. Had Thanksgiving. And made some new discoveries around the area.
Fantastic. Well, you've been busy, and I want to specifically ask you about learning the language as somebody who's completed the A1 and about to go headlong into the A2. And of course, let's start with the lovely BMW Z4, because we do like a bit of a car review here, especially when Colin's on with Go Motoring Portugal. So if I can put up the sexy pictures of your car here and you tell us all about it, that'll be awesome. So let me just bring the pictures up first and we'll go through a little slideshow of your beautiful motor here. What were your options when you were thinking about getting a sexy topless vehicle of this kind?
Well, there was definitely the price range, and for myself in particular, there was a height issue. So did look at the Mazdas, but wouldn't be able to sit in them without looking a little bit like Naughty in his little push car.
And what Pam didn't want to get known as big ears. So well, fair enough.
So this one I fit just right.
Perfect.
And so with the top down or with the top on, I still have headroom. So this was definitely the one. And I have a little description that I could read for you, or I could try to say for you. In Portuguese.
Go on.
Yeah. So, ela chama-se Zito. Ela é BMW Z4, dupla embreagem, com motor twin turbo de 2 litros.
Very good, John. I like that. This is what happens when you do the A1.
So his name is Zito. He's a BMW Z4 Z4 with a dual clutch, dupla embreagem, with a twin motor, twin turbo engine, 2-liter engine.
Fantastic. Okay, so yeah, it was beginning to sound like an electric, but this is all petrol, presumably.
This is all petrol.
Yeah.
And had a little difficulty, or still having maybe a little difficulty with proper naming. We always name our cars.
Yeah.
We initially were going with a female name because just, you have to admit, she's so sexy. But
yes, there's no denying that, John. Look, and especially with her cool driver sat there as well, modeling.
So we were going with Zoe, but when you're driving it, he's got such a growl. He's got such a low growly engine. It's just so masculine when you're driving it around. So he's just a dapper dude. So we went with Zeke, but that's more of a westernized name. So I wanted a Portuguese name. So I think we're going with Zito.
Zito works, and it needed something to be beginning with a Z with a Z, didn't it? To make it work. Very good.
Yeah, it has to be a Z because it's a Z4.
Right. And
But
fair to say you're very happy. I mean, it looked the video we played earlier on,
yeah,
was just perfect with the windy roads in the north of Portugal, top down, singing Christmas songs. What a lovely little snapshot of life there.
yeah, isn't that lovely? I mean, you just pick a destination and a coffee shop, of course, and a place to go for a walk, and take an hour's drive to get there, and then enjoy your afternoon. Beautiful long walk along the river. We drove up to Villanova de Cerveira,
Oh, nice.
and went for an hour's long walk along the river, and then came back for a beautiful cafe and a sandwich. And the experience is just lovely with as you saw, with the windy roads and the fall colors, and something we enjoy very much here, of course, is the quality of the roads. Just the infrastructure is so well done.
Yeah.
So you're just on a mountain road, and everything's just beautifully paved. No
potholes and destruction
potholes
to your
and things.
vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how lovely, how lovely. So I think I can report back to Colin Ross Jones of Go Motoring Portugal, that you're very happy with the Z4 and no problem with supply on that here in Portugal.
No problem with the what?
With the supply. I mean, because sometimes we were at the Kia garage. A further reports come from Kia. We were going to be reviewing the E3, V3, E3, whatever it was, the EV3 possibly. And it was a no show. So Colin was proper peeved, and understandably so.
Yeah.
But I asked the guy about is it easy to get this vehicle? I did a little bit of an interview with him, and he said, yes, we've got 20 in the country. Now I'm thinking there would be hundreds of vehicles of a certain kind, especially if it's going to be car of the year, which it is next year. But maybe that's why they're not bothered about the sort of customer service, because they're going to sell those 20 cars very easily. And I'm just wondering for you, if you set your mind on a particular vehicle, is it easy to find? Was yours easy to find?
Well, it is part of the process, is finding something that's going to fit in your budget, and then of course the supply. And in my case, I used the website Stand Virtual, which is a very good car buying website, and you can put on all sorts of filters and things. So it's pretty much down to a Mercedes or the Z4, and I really wanted more of a performance kind of experience, but also wanted a comfortable car, and this really gives me everything, and it's in the price range that I was wanting. You certainly could spend a lot more, and you could spend less depending on what you're looking for. But in my case, I kind of split the difference, because, as I said, it's the 2-liter twin turbo. But I could have gone with they call it a M Sport package, which would have been even more performance. Could have gone with a 3-liter, which is obviously a 3-liter M Sport would be amazing. But as it is, with just the 2-liter, the speed and the acceleration and the handling, everything is just fantastic. So I'm very pleased. It's not like I'm going to be going 200 kph on the motorway anyway. So
yes.
I'm quite happy with what I'm doing, and riding on the mountain roads. The point is not how fast you can drive on the mountain roads. It's how smooth you can ride.
Handling. Yes, with the top down. It's a lovely vision. Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing on the BMW Z4 there. Zito is the name given to the vehicle. You always name them, do you? Have you got all the number plates as well, John, from your previous vehicles?
Do I have got them memorized? No, I don't memorize number plates.
I was asking if you're one of those guys that in his garage he's got all the registration plates, the number plates from all your previous vehicles. Some people do that, don't they?
No, yeah, I've had them in the past, but no, not in this case. But
all right.
One last thing about the Z4, the experience with just convertible driving experience, because this is my first convertible. Because when we first had it, it was still summertime, or still hot weather, so very nice. Have the top down, wear a hat, but with the air conditioning on, it was quite pleasant. And then in the fall winter weather, top down, there's a seat heater, and you put the warm air on, so it's quite pleasant.
It takes a bit of getting used to, doesn't it? A seat heater. It feels like you've had an accident, I think, at first, but when you realise what's going on, it's all fine.
Yeah, it depends on the type. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Excellent to know. Thank you very much, John. A few comments coming in. This one a bit random, but a good tip, a life hack possibly when it comes to AI. Grok is my new friend, says Tita, way better than any of the search engines. So a rival to ChatGPT on X there, and actually a search engine as much as anything else. Thank you for that. And with all this talk about os sai de gatos, it actually means on all fours, it would appear. So thank you, Antonio, for that. And T-Duck's response is, there's no way I'll live long enough to learn this language. I think Antonio is trying to help in the chat with anyone who struggled with that pronunciation, or not the pronunciation, but that translation this morning. We'll come back to speaking the language because we've got a nice compliment for you as well, John. But just dwelling with the bolo de Belém savory style, Pam says beetroot hummus and caramelized onion is my favorite. I actually, on a croissant, yeah, but on a bolo de Belém, I'm really not sure about that. The savory bolos de Belém do not have sugar and are available with a range of fillings. So, okay, so that would help to hold on the sugar there. Have you tried the cherry and slightly more unusual parsnip bolos de Belém? Who knew there was such a world lurking beneath the surface there? And Antonio saying bolo de Belém, ball due to its round shape, and of course Berlin. Its origins, which I believe were the German spies or the German personnel who were in the hotel at Estoril there during the Second World War, who fancied something that reminded them of home, and the Portuguese bakers came up with a donut filled with custard, which is the bolo de Belém. I think that is the backstory. Not sure. Pete says, we're on our B1 and B2, John. 6 hours a week is really helpful to get your ear in. And Mel at Simply Live says, great pronunciation, John. Better than A1 standard. So you've done the A1. You're going into A2. Can you tell us more about that? We want to raise our game next year. And I think, all of us are slowly getting better. We all know more than we realize. But it's true to say we could all make a bit more of an effort as well. So how's it been? What's your experience of learning the language, doing an A1 class B, John?
Well, I would say it's been wonderful. The here in the Ponte De Lima area, we have a couple of different school options, and the free option is through an organization called ETAP, ETAP.
Yeah.
And they offer free classes. And the A1 we were doing actually only once a week. So they were offering them for 3-hour class once a week on Thursdays or Fridays or Saturdays, because there were so many people wanting to take the classes.
Really? That's good.
We were taking them on Saturdays, and in our class we had people from France, and then we had a large group from India, some Colombians, and that was very good. But we had also a number of other friends who were taking the Friday or the Thursday ones. And now that we're going to A2, it's actually being offered twice a week, either on Monday, Wednesdays in the afternoon, or for people that work, they're offering it Tuesday, Thursdays in the evening. But the A2 class, we probably have maybe 20 people in the class, so it's quite full, and everyone is doing great. And there's a good expat community up here, and it's great to see the enthusiasm from everyone else that you're participating in, because people you're in class with are your friends.
Yes.
And so that's kind of fun.
So some might call it blitz spirit, other might call it a trauma bond, but it is like any sort of college situation, I suppose, isn't it? You have allies, don't you, who are facing a common struggle, perhaps, which bonds you. And you make.
Well,
Make
speaking of college, is like this is one class because I can't believe that I used to take like 4 or 5 of these classes at once.
Well, so there is something to be said, is there, for how aging
Yeah.
affects learning? Is there?
Yeah, because remember you sign up for 4 or 5 classes, and you'd be
Yes.
taking them. My Monday, Wednesday, Friday class at this or that, and on my Tuesday, Thursday classes are this, and then I have an
Yes.
evening class of that, and I have 16 credits. So and it's like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
how did I keep
Wow.
it straight?
Well, I mean, come on, Mr. S, don't be like that. A1 is not enough, by the way. Well, it's a good start for those who haven't even done A1 or who can't speak any Portuguese or don't even try. So don't let that put you off. Mel says, I'm doing mine through the government system via the schools. Lots of schools offer them, but very popular. Mine is twice per week, 3 hours each for A1. And I'm hearing this all over the country. People are signing up and doing the classes, which is great. Other methods are also available. And I think it's quite important to choose a way that suits your learning style, because it's awful when you get in a pickle with it and you think, oh, I'll never learn this, or you're not enjoying it. That can really put you off. But A1 suits you, does it, John? What particularly about A1? Is that your learning style you like to be in the classroom?
Well, it really is about the teacher, and we've
Right.
been blessed with a very good A1 teacher. Our A2 teacher is a different teacher. Augusta was our A1, and now Sylvia is our A2, and both of them are actual trained language instructors. It is sometimes with the government classes, depending on what you do, you just get somebody who is a teacher that's just not really a language teacher, and they're just going through the book, blah blah blah, and that's not a good experience. You're probably better off doing some online thing. But if you're in the A1 or A2s with a good teacher, then it's a really good experience.
Yeah. Mel adding, if you do via the government, the certificate can be used for the passport. Yeah, citizenship, you will need the A2, and that's what John's going on to now. Otherwise, I think you have to sit the government test for passport, even with a certificate. I think you're right there, Mel. So what did you learn in A1, and what will you be doing in A2, John? Can you give us a rough idea of how demanding the A1 was and what you came out with?
Well, the A1 is quite basic, but it gives you a good foundation, because you have to learn the basic communication foundations, such as to be, to do, to make, to have, those kinds of words that you use, those kinds of verbs that you use in every sentence. And so being able to conjugate those and understand the various forms of what they call the regular verbs ending in AR, like a star and tar. And so those are your basics. You learn some additional vocabulary, situational, like going to the bank, going to the shop, talking about body parts or hospital, those kinds of things. But it's basic nouns and verb conjugation.
Right.
But in A2, you start getting into adjectives and adverbs and more complex forms of verbs, past, future, past tense, future continuous, future, all those kinds of things that we use.
Yes. Those things that we struggle with in English, let alone in Portuguese.
Well, in English, like, for example, I have had, or I had once got, we use these weird combinations of verbs to describe a particular type of situation. And don't ask me how to describe that grammatically, but when you're supposed to do it. So anyway, it's just understanding the structures and the different forms, and it gets a little bit nuanced when you go with the A2, let alone the B1s and B2s.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Okay. And has it helped tactically, practically? I mean, do you go into social situations? Do you go into the cafe, the restaurant, or doing your other chores and the things you have to do in life with more confidence now as a result of the A1?
Oh yeah, restaurants are very easy now, right. I think. And of course, pronunciation is a huge part of it. And that's one thing that our new teacher, Sylvia, is emphasizing. So she went around the class, each one of us kind of introducing ourselves and saying a little bit about ourselves in Portuguese, and she was stressing as we were saying our bit, the proper pronunciations of various different things. And so she was doing it in a very, very nice way, but she was correcting people as they were speaking and emphasizing. Not so it wasn't just like you stumble your way through it and then you just move on to the next person. She was giving immediate feedback directly to that person, and of course we were all hearing it as well. Yeah. And so pronunciation really is a big part, I think, for proper learning of Portuguese, is because it's one thing, if you know a few sentences or phrases or words, but you're not even pronouncing them properly or don't care how you pronounce them, that's kind of being a little bit disrespectful of the country.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And even if you are having a good go of it, it doesn't always work out. I mean, the most basic things. I was okay with Ungalao, and then chá verde. Okay, and the and to be fair, this because I was talking to a young Brazilian chap in the supermarket cafe. That's where it went wrong. But I mean, it's been taking me ages to get meia de leite understood. And chá verde yesterday for Mrs. M. And he's like, "What? Chá verde?" And I said, chá verde. Said, chá verde. Okay, all right. Yes, okay, fine. Yes, pronunciation, says James there. Good morning to you.
Well, your example there, meia de leite, is a good one, because, especially when you first come to Portugal, you make jokes about, meia de leite, but it's neither of those. It's meia de leite. So it's understanding how to pronounce the diphthongs. So the EI, if you just go slowly and pronounce each vowel individually, so it's le e.
Late.
Meia de leite. So it's you do it together, you mush it together, but it's not late, it's not light, it's late. It's late. Meia de leite.
Look at that nuance right there. That, I mean, for some people that will be imperceptible, really, the difference, but it comes from practice for sure, doesn't it? Thank you very much for that, John. This is really, really, really helpful and very encouraging this morning. Lord and Lady Travancore, good morning to you. We've got Pete, who's doing the B1 and the B2. You don't have to do that. It's the A2 that you need to get your certificate for citizenship, of course. Wait until... this is to Bob and Viv, who are conjugating verbs this morning. I've heard you do a lot of that, Bob and Viv. Oh, the joy, whatever that means. Wait till you get into irregular and 5 bloody past tenses. Oh, I was listening to Thandie Newton's Cockney accent this morning. Well, there wasn't Cockney, it was posh British. Thandie Newton is an American actress, isn't she? She sounded a bit Dick Van Dyke to me in Mission Impossible 2. But anyway, that's a long story while I was watching that this morning. Googlash, googlamush. Very good.
Googlash.
I can only say a few things in Portuguese, but I say them well. There is a certain honour in that. Well done, James. Have you tried this tongue twister? And would you like to try it now, John? Can you see that on the screen?
Well, it's microscopic. Let me magnify this a bit.
Right. Okay.
Okay. I'm not practicing it. Orato
without a safety net.
Roya da Garafa da Rum Dorei da Russia.
Very good. Orato Rui Rayo Arroya de Garrafa de Rum de Rei de Russia.
Rum de Rei de Russia. Orato Rayo Arroya da Garrafa de Rum de Rei de Russia.
You try it. You might be laughing at me and John, but you try it at home. Okay, see how you get on. There's something to do with a mouse being in the King of Russia's bottle of rum, isn't it? Which is obviously a situation you regularly find yourself in. So please make sure you've got this tongue twister mastered, just in case you've got it when you need it. Right. So A2, how long is it going to take, John? And that's obviously the certificate.
Should be done in February. Actually, the final exam will probably be the first week of March.
Right. The exam. What's that like? Do you know much about what you're up against there?
Well, that's a little bit of the secret sauce because they allow you to do open book, open notes.
Right.
So, if you take good notes, then you're fine. If you've not been listening, you've not been taking notes, then you're going to be in a bit of a squeeze. But
Right. Oh, look, I got a Carlitos muito bem there from Mr. S, who's a bit of an aficionado of the language. Good morning to you, Mr. S, if I didn't say that already. John, it's 10 o'clock. We've been talking so intently here. There are a couple of things you wanted to share. Your beautiful wreath. It's a cat-loving house, yours, isn't it? I was trying to get some cat training.
At the local Christmas market, had to get it.
Very nice, very nice. I did try and get some cat training tips off Heather the other day. So we're working on it here in this household, but there are plenty of cat lovers in this household, even if I'm not, strictly speaking, one of them, more of a dog person. And this one, John, this is a beautiful photograph of a very handsome couple here. What's going on here?
Yeah, my great-grandparents. No.
They'd be so proud of you, John, wouldn't they?
Yeah. Turns out Pam and I are related. We have the same great grandparents.
It'll be fine. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
This was this taken here in Portugal? Is that something you brought with you?
That's something we brought with us. Yeah. So this is from probably the second year of our marriage. Yeah.
Love these sorts of photographs. There. Okay, you're bearing arms. She's got bare arms. She's got bare arms, and you're bearing arms in that picture there. Brilliant. Is there something you wanted to add about this, or was it just for the curiosity value?
Well, it's just it was originally submitted, I guess, to you. It's like you had the segments in the past of like who are these or yes, the Gumpers,
yeah. You look very fine there. I love those photo opportunity. They're like a booth, aren't they? Or you could go get dressed up and have your photo taken. I'm not sure if there's so many of them here in Portugal, but what a lovely thing. And finally, then, just one more time. There you go. Os sai de gatos on all fours, I think is what we're going to go with this morning. And that is a classic musician's jacket right there, isn't it? That's some proper stage wear.
And hat.
Right, and the hat. He's got it all going on right there. And one of the band members of Os sai de gatos on all fours is what we're going to go with for the time being. Thanks, John. Really great to chat with you. Lovely to hear about your lovely motor and, of course, your adventures in Portuguese there. Russia. We're still getting more notes coming through there. The mouse chewed, by the way, the king of Russia's rum bottle. I knew that, didn't you, John?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Cheers, John. Love to Pam. And this, of course, is our last time together before Christmas. Have a good one. Boas festas, Feliz Natal.
Yeah,
and looking forward to chatting to you next year when it's 900 years of the official existence of Ponte De Lima. So I'm sure there'll be much to say about that.
Yeah, our next time together in January, I'll do a little review of our river cruise that we're doing over Christmas, because we're going from the 21st of December to the 29th on a river cruise from Passau, Germany, through Salzburg, Vienna, Linz, to Bratislava, and then back. So,
fabulous. Love your tours.
Christmas carols, sacred Christmas concerts, all the Christmas markets. It'll be wonderful.
That sounds really proper festive there. And yeah, part of why you came to Europe, right? To travel around Europe and take in such beautiful experiences like that. I shall be broadcasting from the Storytellers tomorrow morning.
Fantastic.
It's going to be great. And this is their 15th of January. Event there. I'll tell you more about that tomorrow morning, but that's where we'll be broadcasting from live tomorrow. John, thank you very much. Thank you all you Gumpers who've been here this morning and the late shift who will be enjoying this later on. See you in the morning. Take care and have a great day. Bye for now. All right, where's that video? There it is.
There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.